Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is healthy and enjoying their time at home. I hope everyone managed to have a look at my NYSESLAT practice exam. Today is day 2 in a 3-day series reviewing the practice exam. In the first video, we looked at the reading section and I showed you how to answer the reading questions, those specific questions, and also reading questions in general. Today, we will be looking at the writing section, something I gave you last week. If you have not finished the writing yet, then I suppose you can still look at this because I'll expect a different answer anyway, but it is better to complete the writing assignment and then come and have a look. I'm sorry if my computer beeps, by the way. Okay, so today we're looking at the 2 writing questions for grade 7 and grade 8. If you are in another grade, then you want another video, which will be on another page. So today we're going to look at the first question and the second question. Now the first question, which was question 13, because we had 6 listening and 6 reading, meaning the writing was question 13. This was about, this related to the boy Raymond who liked to play the fiddle. And that was part of the reading section in the first video. So this is how the question read. The contest is about a boy named Raymond who likes to play the fiddle. How was Raymond's life in 1902 different from your life today? Write 1 paragraph describing how Raymond's life is different from your life. Give reasons for your answer. Use your own ideas and ideas from the passage to help you write. Now, this is an interesting question, and in the ESL exam, they do this quite a lot. They take a passage that you had to read that you may have found easy or you may have found challenging, difficult, and then they ask you a question that relates to your life. And this is good because even if you found it challenging as a reading passage, as a writing passage, you shouldn't find it that challenging. Because when the easiest thing in the world to do is to write about ourselves at this level. So this is saying, how is your life different from Raymond's life? Well, let's have a think about Raymond's life. The story about Raymond. Raymond was a boy. He was probably around your age. Raymond was playing the fiddle all the time. And then Raymond had to go to work. So what does that tell us? Well, number 1, in the beginning, if Raymond was playing the fiddle all the time, he probably wasn't going to school. And you are at school. So that's one massive difference. And you can play on that one difference for the entire paragraph. You can add details about what would this mean to you and mean to him and all that information. The second thing we can talk about is the way he was working in a mine under the ground at the age of 13 or 14 instead of going to school. That's another massive difference. I know you think it's hard work being at school, but believe me, it is harder work being at the bottom of a mine than being at school. So that's another massive difference. Now, if you didn't want to do that, a third option might be to talk about the technological details, the differences between now and then. For example, he's with the fiddle. You could say, well, if I wanted to play music, I can go on my computer and create music on a computer without touching an instrument. You could talk about the advancement of technology. You could talk about the advancements of children's rights, how children are not allowed to work nowadays, or they're not allowed not to attend school. Whether you like it or not, you have to attend school by law. So all these options are available to you, and all of these options are available to you without very specific understanding of the text. Okay? So when it comes to the writing, make sure you look at what they're asking you, because a lot of times in this one, they are asking you somewhat of an easy question. So the state gave us an example right here. Now, this example got 4 points out of 4. It's at a commanding level. And you'll see they asked for a paragraph, and you see this person has written a paragraph, but it is a long paragraph, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, say 12 words to each line, that's 144, 150 words. So they've written 150 words about this, okay? So that's what they're looking for. If you're writing one sentence, that is not one paragraph, okay? So let me read this to you, and you'll see an example of what would have got full marks. Excuse me. Raymond was a poor boy. I'll read the question yet, first. On the lines below, describe how Raymond's life is different from your life today. Remember to use your own ideas and ideas from the passage to help you write. In other words, talk about yourself, but you have to mention what's going on in the passage too in order to get full marks. I'll say that one more time. You have to mention what's happening in the passage in order to get full marks. You have to relate it to the reading. Raymond was a poor boy who had to help in a dangerous coal mine in order to help with bringing in money for his family, even though he was young. Raymond's life is different from mine because he is a young boy and had to help his father in a coal mine instead of going to school like I do. I also don't have to help earn money at such a young age. A coal mine is an especially dangerous place, and I wouldn't work there, especially so young and inexperienced. This is how my life is different than Raymond, who has to make money for his family. So young, in a scary mine, instead of going to school like I do. Now, that was good. That was good. The writer repeats the same point. They do get a bit repetitive about the mine and the work, and they don't have to. But the thing that brings them, elevates them to a 4, in my opinion, is the vocabulary. This young man or young lady has used the word inexperienced. Fantastic word. Fantastic word. Also, instead of just saying a mine, a coal mine, they've emphasized the fact that the mine is scary. It's a scary mine. Also, the word earn, that you earn money, the concept of earning money. A coal mine is not, a coal mine is a dangerous place. A coal mine is an especially dangerous place. Okay? So the adjectives being used, the adverbs being used are very good. And I wouldn't work there, especially so young and inexperienced. Brilliant. They actually, they wrote unexperienced, but the fact that, and they spelled it wrong, but the fact that they were trying to do it, and the examiner will read the correct spelling in their head. Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that was my daughter coming for a visit. So that's the reason why this person, even though it's a paragraph, and this is the one that should be easy for you. This is the one where, this is an example of what you get in book 1 and book 2. Book 3, which is something we're going to look at now, is a little bit harder and a bit more difficult to get full marks in. Possible, but a bit more difficult. But for 2 days, in 2 books, you write a paragraph. Now, here's the funny thing. This kind of essay 1 and this paragraph 1, they're worth the same amount of points. Okay? So this is an easy 4 for you guys, 3 or 4 for you guys to get. And plus, this is day 1 and day 2. So this is 4, 8 points. So if you do 2 great paragraphs, you get 8 points out of a possible 12. And that means going into the 3rd day, you should feel confident that if you get 2 or 3 points on this one, don't even get 4 out of 4, you get 2 or 3, then you're going to be going way high, way high. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to show you. Now, the second writing question is, like I said, more difficult. But that's okay. Stick with me. Okay. So this question was relating to a reading passage you did called Smaller World, Higher Food Prices, which was talking about globalization. This was not an easy passage. In fact, I found this incredibly difficult. So if you did too, do not be disheartened. Okay, but we're going to have a look at this together. The passage, smaller world, higher food prices, describes globalization and its effect on people everywhere. Think about some of the positive and negative effects of globalization. Write at least 2 paragraphs in your own words to explain the positive and negative effects of globalization. Use your own ideas and ideas from the passage to help you write. This is incredibly difficult. The concept of globalization is complex. It is not an easy thing to look at because it is a complicated idea that leads to that involves economics and all that stuff. It's not an easy idea. So don't let it scare you, but this was not an easy thing to do. So if I look at this question, I need to first off look at what it's asking me. So let's read it again. The passage, smaller world, higher food prices, describes globalization and its effects on people everywhere. Think about some of the positive and negative effects of globalization. And write at least 2 paragraphs in your own words to explain the positive and negative effects of globalization. So, what are we doing? First off, we're finding the positive and negative effects of something. Of what? Of globalization. So, in order to answer this, we need to figure out what globalization means. Okay? We need to figure out what globalization means. Now, I'm just going to pull up. And see if it actually says in the art. So globalization provides American consumers with a variety of items they can purchase, such as fish raised in Asia, cheese made in Europe, and fruit grown in South America. So globalization is talking about the idea, that the world, different countries sell to other countries, that we're all interconnected as a world. Okay? And then the reading goes to tell you how this is negative. Negative means bad, and how this is positive. Positive means good. Remember, a lot of concepts, a lot of ideas have good points and bad points. This is what it's asking you to see. Now, this is asking very directly to quote from the text. This isn't necessarily asking your own opinion, although you can bring that in the conclusion. So I'm going to read you the answer. You notice something? What's the first thing you notice? The first thing you notice, compared to this one, is they give you 2 boxes in which to write. 2. So what does that mean? Does that mean we see box number 1, we fill it up to here like we did with that one, and then kind of ignore that as though it's just a generous gift that we could leave blank? No, it does not mean that. It means that we attempt to complete an essay in both boxes. Okay? You want to fill up all the space if you can. It gives you more of a chance to get full marks. Okay? So, let's start at the beginning. Wrong one. So, on the lines below, explain the positive and negative effects of globalization. Remember to use your own ideas and ideas from the passage to help you write. In the passage, smaller world, higher food prices, globalization had a major effect on people's everyday life all around the world. Whether it's the food price of the food changing rapidly or creating a strong bond between the countries, these are all effects of globalization. This is how globalization had an impact on people all around the world. So, that was this little bit, an introduction. Hasn't really told us anything, but a little bit of an introduction. According to the passage, it states that a gallon of milk used to cost 30 cents a century ago, but now it costs an average of $3.50. Also, a dozen eggs was just 37 cents, but now they cost about $1.90. Now that was in quotation marks, so it's pulling from the text. This demonstrates that a lot has changed over the past 100 years, and that because of food prices increasing, other objects also had a rise in price, such as houses and clothing. This is all because countries all around the world have been closely connected and able to communicate through trading. Okay. Hang on a sec. Sorry about that. So let me look at the second page. The second page goes on to say, the goods are constantly being shipped from all over the world, which means people will get provided with anything they need that they aren't able to get where they live. For example, American consumers can purchase fish from Asia, cheese made in Europe, and fruits from South America. People living on the other side of the earth can always put hands on products grown from America. But as more people try to get their hands on these products, the prices goes up because of factors such as not being able to produce fast enough, or there is too much people trying to get it. As a result, the prices have increased. So that's telling us a negative effect. It started off positive. If you want Asian fish and there's no fish here, you can get Asian fish. But the trouble is, if you go for Asian fish, it might be quite expensive because everyone else in the world also has access to those fish. So then prices go up. That's a negative thing. It's no good for any of us. Okay? So now we're probably looking at the positives. New paragraph. We are. And how do I know that? Listen up. But on the other hand, even though globalization leads to product prices going up, it creates a bond between the countries they trade with. For example, people can buy food even if their countries aren't able to produce it because they can choose from a variety that we're trading all over the world. Also, everyone gets benefits such as cultural diffusion, where we can spread our ideas and religion, and other countries can also experience something new instead of always having the same thing or wearing the same clothes. As you can see, this is how globalization affects people's everyday lives, whether it's good or bad. In the passage, smaller world, higher food prices. And they got right to the last line. You can add more lines. You can add extra if you need to. If this person wanted to add a bit more, then they could have. Once again, sorry about that. So that's it. That's what this person wrote. Was the grammar perfect? No. Was the spelling perfect? No. Was the handwriting perfect? No. I struggled to read it sometimes. Did they score maximum points? Yes. Why? Because the grammar was good. Not perfect, but good. The spelling was okay. Not perfect, but good. They used big words. They tried to expand their vocabulary. It was obvious that whoever wrote this is a thinking student. They tried to understand the passage. Even some of the understanding of the passage was a little bit off, but that doesn't matter. This is an incredibly difficult concept. The thing you need to realize about this is they attempted it. They tried it. If they had written this much, and that's all they can write because they're only been here a year or two, that's fine. But if you've been here a few years and you're in 8th grade and you've been exposed to this kind of text, difficult, challenging text for the last few years, and you've been in ENL for 4 or 5 years, you should be attempting this. You should be attempting it, and you should be getting to the second page. This person quoted things from the text and then explained it. We've worked on that. These are all things that you have done in ELA and you've done with me in ENL. I'm just looking at it on the other screen, I'm sorry. So this is something that we can work towards, but some of you should be excelling in this. And the thing that stops you is that you give up too easily. You read the question. It was a difficult question. I don't know what globalization is. So instead of saying, go back in the text, find out, turn into a detective. Because you're going to be sitting there waiting for other people to finish the test. Why sit there and wait for other people to pass a test that you can pass, except you just can't be bothered to do the legwork to get the meaning of the question? You can do this, guys. You can do this. And if I have said this to you in person, in class, then it is you who I am talking to now. Do not let the idea that I don't really have to bother lead to you being an E&L for the next 3-4 years. Well, excuse me. If you need E&L, fantastic. It's great having you in the class. But if realistically you don't, but you're not really trying on the writing, then you need to rethink that approach, guys. You really do. And the great thing is you have a year to fine-tune your skills. A year until you have to take this test again. Now, I'm not a big fan of tests and exams, but this is our way of showing the world how well we've done in E&L over the past few years. So we need to excel in this. And if you're not excelling in this because you can't be bothered to take the time, then that's a failure on us, on you and me, you and I. But that's not a failure of the system. Okay? So we really need to focus. That was a difficult one. It was a challenging one. But over the next few weeks, we're going to work on more and more of these. And I'm going to show you how I would answer things. And then hopefully that will give you an example you can take for other exams going on into the future. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I will see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.